Well, good evening and welcome to this week's edition of the Don't Argue. And I keep saying it, but the king of the Don't Argue in the NRL is certainly this man, Kurt Gidley, of course, former Newcastle Knight, played for Australia, mate. New South Wales Blue, just an absolute ornament of the game and an all-round good guy, to be honest. And Gids, how are you, big fella?
Great, Matty. How are you, mate? Yep, we can smell the semi-finals, mate, around the corner. There's a few nasty touch-ups last weekend, wasn't there?
Yeah, absolutely there was, mate. A lot of one-sided games, but I must admit, Gids, a couple of teams coming good at the right time of the year, my Melbourne Storm being one of them. And I'm really looking forward to this final series because I reckon it's going to be an absolute cracker, mate.
For sure, mate. Yeah, you're right. Your Storm, mate, once they sort of get past that rep season where they have plenty of players out because they're such a strong club, they get their sights set back on the back end of the year, and certainly they're running to the semi. So you can never write off the Storm and Craig Bellamy, and they're certainly circling there, mate. But also, you know, the few teams at the top, the Panthers, the Cowboys, and the Sharks. Well, you know, two of those teams, I don't think anyone probably had in their top four at the start of the year. I had the Sharks.
You did, mate. You did.
But, mate, you know, Cowboys have had a super year, and Penrith well clear, mate, with the minor premiership wrapped up.
Now, Gids, this is a question without notice. It's not even on the run sheet. Dally M medal, big fella. What's your early thoughts there? And I haven't even got a market or anything, all thanks to Palmer Bet, of course. But I don't know. But from what I've seen, and I could be totally off the mark, but, geez, I reckon Cam Munster's had a good year.
Yeah, for sure, mate. He's missed a few games there. I think with COVID at one stage, maybe
missed a couple.
Another stage. But you know what, mate? Let's get the Palmer boys onto a market, Dally M market, maybe next week. Let's
Absolutely.
work out what we can start having a look at. I know Ben Hunt was going really well when they take the scores out of the public eye. So, and to be fair, he had a pretty good year. Obviously, you know, every time the Dragons won, he was seen to be right amongst that. The performances, the best performances in those games. I know he's probably not scoring a lot of points over the last few weeks, but I know his name was spoken about sort of during the year. Who else is there off the top there? I suppose Nathan Cleary would have been featuring a bit, but then again, he missed a fair few games at the start of the year. So, yeah, it'd be interesting. Isaiah Yeo, maybe. Probably, you know, doesn't get the recognition because he's not the most explosive player on the field, but I think, you know, as a lot of his teammates would agree, he's probably one of the most influential players in their team, but you don't always score the points, unfortunately, for that type of position.
Right. So the boys at Palmer Bet, get on to that. We want to see a Dally M medal market next week, and I reckon they'd probably have one ready to go if they haven't already. That is for sure. Hey, listen, talking about the Panthers, they secured the minor premiership, of course, with a really good 4-point victory over South Sydney Rabbitohs last week. I must admit, Gids, I was surprised, and I think I said this last week, that the market had the Panthers as the outsider in this contest because I thought they were good against the Storm the week before and had chances that game should have been a hell of a lot closer.
Yeah, it should have been. Look, they've done really well, the Panthers, to get through, you know, some of the periods where they didn't start the year with Nathan Cleary, but still started well. They've obviously had the Origin period where they've been missing a number of players during that stage of the comp, and they didn't drop the only team that didn't drop a game during that period, and obviously now with Cleary and Luai being out for a few weeks through suspension and injury, they've still been able to maintain their consistency, you know, predominantly throughout the year. So they deservedly take out the minor premiership. But, mate, I know as a player, you know, they'll be looking at the big prize. The minor premiership's a great recognition for consistency. It means nothing, the toughest one to win.
That's right.
But, yeah, no, you want to win the big one.
Yeah, my oath, mate. What about the demolitions? We're going to talk about them now. So Storm absolutely smashed the Broncos 60-12. I know I keep banging on about it, but gee whiz, I just reckon the Storm are really in good nick and they just know how to play it. And you just touched on it before. They get over that kind of mid-season, the rep footy, all that kind of stuff. They have a little bit of a lull and then they just launch again, don't they?
Yeah, and I think you've got a really strong leadership group, and obviously Craig Bellamy, he's done it so many times before. He knows what he needs to say, and I guess the training programs they need to engage with to build into the back end of the season and into the semi-finals. So it's just like clockwork for those guys down there, and they all buy into what they need to achieve toward this back end of the year, making sure they've got some good momentum. So, yeah, another super performance by them. I reckon, I don't know, wheels are starting to shake just a little bit for the Broncos there.
Well, that was going to be my next question, Gids. Where do you reckon the Broncos are at, mate?
Well, I thought they were one of the best teams, probably alongside the Cowboys in that middle part of the year. They played some really consistent footy. They looked like they were all enjoying their performances and their teammates, and they were executing really well. But yeah, the wheels have started to wobble a little bit, and I think they're the most. I think they're the team under the most amount of pressure in these last two rounds. Like they've got the Eels and Dragons last two games, and the Raiders. They've got Manly and the Tigers. So the old Raiders, they're knocking on the door, and they're gonna go pretty hard in these last two rounds.
Well, we're going to get to a market too, and there's a little bit of value there too if you're thinking along those lines. So we're going to talk about that shortly. Sharks absolutely embarrassed the Sea Eagles too, 40-6. They're just a team that has got the job done. You've been on the bandwagon since way back in round number 1, Gids, and they're playing well enough to go really, really deep this final series, aren't they?
Yeah, I think Craig Fitzgibbon's done a super job there, which was always sort of my predictions at the start of the year. I just know the type of character and personality that Fitzy would be, or he is, and what he'd be asking of his players. I think I've seen one of the players recently make a comment around game day. Apparently, Fitzy goes and does a wrestling session, an hour to hour and a half wrestling session in preparation for coaching that day, because he doesn't expect his players to go through what they're going through unless he does it himself.
Wow.
So
that
I don't know whether
unbelievable.
That's completely true. It does not surprise me if it's completely true. Like Fitzy was always a super trainer, really disciplined, great teammate, great leader. I know he's a really his hobby surfing as well, but
that's next level.
It was always and that doesn't surprise me. So I'd like to find out whether that's 100% true. But I think one of the players had spoken in an interview that's his
game day routine.
Grappling
wrestling session, mate. That's unreal.
Yeah,
that is amazing.
So it sounds like it's
Well, it's working. Look, whatever he's doing, if he's got to go and cop it for an hour and a half, mate, himself, just keep doing it. Don't stop.
Keep doing it. But I think he's got the players to buy into what standards he wants the team to live up to this year, and they've obviously recruited well. So well done.
Yeah, my oath. What about the Roosters, mate? They absolutely smashed the Tigers 72-6. That was just shocking, and not the way the Tigers are wanting to finish the season, because they showed some promising signs kind of in the middle of the year, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. I think a lot of fans from opposing clubs found a bit of a soft spot for them. Even myself, go back to that Parramatta game where I think they won in extra time. Jackson Hastings kicked the field goal, I'm pretty sure, and I think they did a lot of fans seeing how heavily under pressure they were through the media, and Madge getting sacked and constantly speculation about him getting sacked each week, and then did. But unfortunately, after those couple of wins, it's just the inconsistency still being there, and that's probably for the bottom sort of 4 teams, probably Titans, Tigers, Knights, Bulldogs. Maybe they're even there. They've started to hit some better form towards the back end of the year, but just not consistent enough, and that's what you've got to be in the NRL.
Yeah, my oath, you do, Gids. Absolutely you do, mate. Hey, let's have a look. All thanks to Palmerbet. Of course, gamble responsibly. That is the key message, but they love being involved with the NRL. All sports, to be honest, and massive in the darts too the last couple of weeks of the Palmerbet boys, which has been fantastic. The Queensland, the New South Wales Open. It has been absolutely awesome. What about to miss the top 8, okay? And you touched on it there before, Gids, okay? So the Raiders are $1.45, okay? They're currently on 26 points. The next 2 games have got Manly and the Tigers. You give them a tick. I reckon they'll win their last 2 games.
That's what I just put a couple of numbers next to these 3 teams leading into the last 2 games, and I've got the Raiders with 2 wins under their belt. Manly, Tigers, they've got to play for a bit of pride, but nothing really on the line as far as what they can achieve. Tigers, I guess, they don't want to be wooden spooners, so they've got something to play for. But, I've got the Raiders 2 from 2 there, which makes it interesting.
Well, then we go to the Broncos in the next line of betting, all thanks to Palmerbet, and I reckon this is the value, $5.80. They got the Eels and the Dragons in the final. And to be honest, the way the Broncos are going, they're both toss of the coin games, aren't they?
Mate, for sure. I think really tough one against the Eels, to be honest. And I just don't think they're playing as consistently as what they'd probably like to lead into these last two games. On the back of a touch up there last week by the Storm, but yeah, $5.80 for them to drop out of the 8. There's some good value there, and geez, wouldn't it be a fall from grace after how well they were going during the year, and they were pushing for the top 4, I think, at one stage. Wouldn't geez, they'll be under pressure, mate, if they get done this week and they've got to go into the Dragons game to win to get in.
Nothing to lose. The Dragons in the final game.
Yeah, and mate, just the other little part there, like Raiders are -25 and Broncos are +21, so they've got a little bit of breathing space there. But still, if the Raiders get up, they're obviously going to get up more than +25, so they'll be back to positive. And if the Broncos get done by a few tries, that for and against starts to come into play.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Roosters are the one. They're at $8. They're currently on 28. Next two games, you've got Storm and South, but could possibly lose both of those games. The Storm are in sensational nick, and the Rabbitohs are going pretty good at the moment as well. So I think they're for and against a lot better, though, isn't it? A lot stronger.
Yeah, mate, positive 187. So I think they're safe, even if they do get beat, which they won't want to lose two games going into the semis. But if they do, they've still got plenty of space with their for and against. So I think they're safe from there.
Righto, mate. Let's have a look at round 24, kids. We're getting down to the business end of the season. There's 2 rounds to go, big fella. It is game on.
Yeah.
Broncos taking on the Eels. This is going to be Thursday night footy at its best, of course. 7:50 p.m. Suncorp Stadium. Head-to-head, Broncos 2.25. Eels $1.65 at the line. Eels -3.5. At $1.90. Key stats: Broncos won their round 19 clash 36-14. Eels have won 3 of their last 4 games. Broncos have lost 3 of their last 4, including last week's big smashing at the hands of the Storm. Broncos, Corey Oates has 4 tries his last 3 games. Eels edges are on fire at the moment with Wacker Blake and Make Sivo combined 14 tries in their last 6 games, mate. That is the key stats, all thanks to Palmer. But big game here, kids.
Yeah, huge game for both teams, obviously. But I think the pressure, again, is on the Broncos, and how will they handle that pressure, I suppose. I know Selwyn Cobbo's been rested, and he's had a big year for a young bloke, but he might be carrying something, but he's been rested for this game, which I think he's been one of their best players. I think the 2 wingers, Corey Oates and Selwyn Cobbo's been so influential in their yardage carries, number one, and then obviously they can finish off tries and create something from nothing with the way they carry the ball. But so I think he's a bit of a loss. So I'm leaning towards the Eels on this one, Matty, which again puts a bit of pressure on the Bronx. They've got to deliver at home, but can they? That's the question mark.
Yeah,
I'm with the Eels.
That is going to be the $1 million question, mate. That is for sure. Hey, Friday night footy, it's the Panthers taking on the Warriors. 6 p.m. at Panther Stadium, of course. Head-to-head, Panthers $1.06. Warriors $9.40. At the line, the Panthers -22.5 at $1.90. Key stats: Panthers won their round 15 clash 40-6. Panthers have won 2 of their last 4 games since Cleary was sent off against Parramatta. Warriors have lost 5 of their last 6. Warriors have only beaten 2 top 8 teams this year. That is the key stats, all thanks to Palmer Bet.
Yeah, mate, can't see it looking good for the Warriors here on this one. Luai back for the Panthers, which he'll inject plenty of energy. He's, what they call him, the Chief Energy Officer, CEO, I think it is, around training. So he'll, I heard Ivan Cleary just talking about, he's ready to go. He's back a week early and he's chomping on the bit. So he'll bring plenty of energy back. So I think, I can't get on the Panthers enough here at home. And I think it's going to be a big convincing win for him.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Very, very convincing victory for mine for the Panthers. They're just doing everything right at the moment and playing absolutely sensational. The doubleheader, of course, it's the Storm for the Roosters. I reckon this will be a ripper, to be honest. Amy Park, of course, in Melbourne. Head-to-head, Storm $1.58. Roosters $2.40. At the line, the Storm -4.5 at $1.90. Key stats: Storm won their round 14 clash 26-18. Roosters have won 6 straight. Storm have won 4 straight. And Storm have won 5 straight against the Roosters. That's probably an interesting little stat there, to be honest, that they seem to have.
Yeah, that is an interesting stat. Yeah, that's you wouldn't predict that without you ratting off your research stats, mate, like you do. But game of the round, mate, for me, this one, interesting, really interesting game. Both pretty solid teams they've named again. Not sure if Cam Munster will be playing a little bit of that fullback role and Nick Mooney switching around it. I think it keeps certainly the opposition guessing. And I think Munster, every time he gets the ball in his hands where it's unstructured play, that's when he's dangerous. Look at him during Origin this year, and whether it's a ball bouncing along the ground, he picks it up and skips and bounces and fends. That's when he's at his dangerous, when it's sort of unstructured and unpredictable. So, yeah, game of the round, this one. I'm probably leaning towards the Storm just because I think the momentum they're building at the moment, and Melbourne always a little bit tougher down there. So, but definitely a great lineup. I'm just looking at the team list here at the moment. Great front rower clash: Jesse Bromwich, Sofa Solomona, Jared Hargraves, Matt Lodge. So the big four boys up front. It starts with them.
Yeah,
so I'm leaning towards the Storm, mate, for this one though.
Yeah, Storm. I love what they're doing. I just reckon he's an absolute superstar, Craig Bellamy. And they got big boys that hit up hard, and they throw it around. They just know the structure so well, and they're playing really well at the moment. Hey, mate, Canberra Raiders.
Little pickup, Matty, from the West Tigers, David Nuffalova.
He's been great, hasn't he? Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. You reckon the old Tigers fans would be scratching their head, pulling their hair out, going, I mean, he was one of their best players at the Tigers, and he can finish a try, but he just gets slipped in for the loan deal for Melbourne at the back end of the year. And can you imagine if you pick up a premiership after a year like this?
It's brilliant,
if you're
mate.
in his position.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, and he was really, really good against Penrith a couple of weeks ago too. Scored and was heavily involved. So yeah, no, very, very good pickup. Hey, Canberra Raiders, Sea Eagles, mate. This is going to be big. GIO Stadium, Saturday, 3 p.m. Head-to-head Raiders $1.31. The Sea Eagles $3.50 coming off the back of that thumping last week. Raiders at the line at -11.5 at $1.90. This is all thanks to PalmerBet. And the key stats: the Sea Eagles won their round 4 clash 25-6. Raiders have won 5 of their last 6 games. Gids. Sea Eagles have lost 5 straight. Raiders need to win to keep pace. So they got to win this game to stay and keep their top 8 chances alive. Yeah. And they need a big win, to be honest, don't they? Just to get that points for and against up.
Well, they need to win. That's the first thing. They need to get the 2 points, and then secondly, once they get in front into a game, and they need to be ruthless in the back end to try and certainly increase that points for. So, last week they were on the ropes, mate. Last week the Knights played really strong first half, great 40 minutes performance, and they come out half time. They obviously got a decent spray at half time, and they come out. They scored first, went back to back tries, and then just ran away with it. They just swung the momentum.
Filthy,
and
I wish we had a camera on you, mate. You would have been absolutely filthy on that second half.
Yeah, it wasn't good. Thankfully, the NRL Knights W team come out after that a win. But look, the Raiders, they're going well. They've got so much to play for. They've got some good momentum, and I think it's a convincing win here. It's in the ACT, mate. It is. So, all on the Raiders here.
Yeah, righto, mate. I'm with the Raiders. I like the Raiders. They were disappointing in the first half last week, but they did show a bit of fight to come back and get the win, which they desperately needed last week. Here's your Cronulla Sharks, kids. This is the team you've been on all year, mate. I love this story. They're playing the Bulldogs, 5:30 p.m. at Shark Park. What an atmosphere down there. Head-to-head, the Sharks $1.15, Bulldogs $5.50. At the line, the Sharks -18.5 at $1.90. Key stats, all thanks to PalmerBet, mate. The Sharks won their round 16 clash 18-6. Sharks have won 4 straight. Bulldogs have lost 3 straight games. Sharks have only lost 2 games to teams outside of the 8. Canberra twice in that. So there you go.
Yeah, right.
And to be honest, the Bulldogs just had a disappointing year, haven't they?
Yeah. Look, they had a terrible start of the year. Obviously, and that Trent Barrett was the victim there. Unfortunately, they showed a little bit of promise through some great games. Remember that Parramatta game where they played really well, and they've strung up a couple of back-to-back wins. But just again that inconsistency. And I think I've seen this week that Tavita Pengai Jr. has been dropped reserve grade. Like he's on $900,000 and he's playing at Newtown against Newtown this week. So that's not ideal. Like if
no.
Irrelevant of what you're getting paid, if you're a senior player like that and you're a major signing for a club, you got to be in first grade somehow.
So
that's not ideal. So, mate, definitely on the Sharks for this one. I've enjoyed watching their performances this year and the way they are connected and the belief they have in each other and their attack. I think Matt Moylan's had one of his best years in a long time. Nico Hines, obviously, a really good signing for the club. So, definitely on the Sharkies for this one. I think they'll continue their momentum going into the semis.
Now, Gids, what about this one, mate? This is going to be an absolute cracker. Rabbitohs v Cowboys, Saturday, 7:35 p.m. at a Accor Stadium. Head-to-head, Rabbitohs $1.54, Cowboys at $2.50. At the line, the Rabbits minus 6.5, $1.90. Key stats, all thanks to Palmerbet, mate. South have won 6 straight against the Cowboys. 3 of those wins have been by 1 point. That is amazing. And South Alex Johnson has 11 tries in his last 6 games, currently on top of the top try scorer list with 27. He is 7 clear. He has had a magnificent season. But if the Cowboys, Gids, if they're the real deal and they want to go deep in the finals, they have to win a game like this, don't they?
They do, mate, for sure. I like the Rabbitohs' momentum at the back end of the year. I think they're playing some really good footy. Their attacking shape looks great. Mate, Alex Johnson, the way he can finish a try and he gets himself into those positions to obviously score it. He's still got to be able to finish it off cleanly, but I think he's slowly creeping up the ladder for the best or most try scorer in NRL ARL history. So
Gids, when we talk about Dally M, he's 7 clear in try score. Like, he's got to come into calculation, doesn't he? Surely.
I don't know, mate. I think with wingers, it's a whole. You've got to be bringing the whole performance. Like, there's no doubt he does, but I think yardage carries, play to in the air, support play. So I think it would be a hard task for a winger to win the Dally M. It's not out of the question, but I don't think he'll be in the position to win the Dally M. Amazing player, amazing finisher, and such a valuable player that he's been for the Rabbitohs and will continue to be while he's there. The only question mark, mate, I've got this week about the Cowboys, which concerns me. They've moved Scott Drinkwater from fullback into the 6 jersey. Obviously, there's some changes there in the team, and the Hammer comes in at fullback. Now, the Hammer's a great fullback, super quick, but I think the key to their success this year has been Scott Drinkwater at fullback. I think the attacking structure that they've been playing with all year, Chad Townsend, they're leading the team around at half. I just think he's played his best footy, Drinkwater, at fullback, and I think that's why their attacks look so good. So, I'm just not. Obviously, there might be an injury there amongst the team. I'm not aware of that, but I'd leave him at fullback.
There's got to be some kind of issue, doesn't there?
I'm on South. I'm on South because of that.
Righto, mate. You're on South. I reckon it's going to be a very, very interesting game because South's last 3 or 4 weeks has been rock solid. They lost obviously last week to a very good team, but they certainly have been really good at the moment. And the Cowboys bounced back last week as well. So it's going to be an absolute ripper, mate. Hey, Tigers v Dragons, Sunday 2 p.m. Combank Stadium. Head to head, all thanks to Palmerbet. Tigers at $3, Dragons at $1.39. At the line, the Dragons minus 7.5, $1.90. Key stats, all thanks to Palmerbet. Gids, Dragons won their round 8 clash 12-6. Dragons have won 2 of their last 5. Tigers have won 1 of their last 11. And in the last 2 games, though, the Tigers have been outscored 108-18. That is a 90-point difference there, kids. That's not good. Can you see him showing a bit of fight here, mate?
No, I just can't see him bouncing back from that loss last week. I just can't see team morale being very good this week. It's whether they might have scrapped the whole video session altogether. Maybe they didn't even go in and watch the video session because it's probably not going to do anything for team morale. Certainly need to hold yourself and your teammates accountable, but maybe it was a week where they just scrapped the video session and got back to training because sometimes you just got to move on as quickly as you can from it. But I can't see them picking themselves up and putting in a performance that is going to be good enough to beat the Dragons, mate, on this one.
Yeah, I'm with you, mate. Been very, very disappointing the last few weeks of Tigers. That is for sure. Hey, final game, mate. Titans v Knights. Couple of teams that probably in the same boat in some sort of sense, isn't it? Sunday, 4:05, Seabus Stadium. Head-to-head, Titans $1.45. Knights are at $2.75. At the line, the Titans minus 7.5 $1.90. Key stats, Knights won their round 16 clash 38-12. That was big. Titans have won one of their last 12 games. Knights have won one of their last 7. Come on, kids. I actually reckon your little Knights, if they play like they did in the first half against the Raiders last week, kids, they got to get the job done here, don't they?
Well, you got to play for 80 minutes, don't you? And that's been the challenge for those teams, sort of from 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th. It just hasn't been good enough for 80-minute performances and back-to-back performances. So, I think they can take plenty of positives out of the first half. The Knights basically the same team as last week. So I think there's a bit of value there for the Knights to get themselves up to the Gold Coast and put in a performance that they can for 80 minutes. I mean, I thought last week some of their best attacking shape, and if they can replicate that for 80 minutes, then they're a big chance. But both teams have no doubt have underperformed this year. Both these teams were 7th and 8th last year, playing round one of the semis, and unfortunately they're a long way off that at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I'm on the Knights, mate. I'm sticking solid.
Stick fat, mate. I'm with you. I just got a feeling they're going to string it together and finish the season on a high, mate. I hope they do for your sake anyway, big fella. Hey, listen, what do you got for us, mate? What's your best bet for the weekend? What's your lock? All thanks to Palmerbet, kids.
Mate, I've got a little bit of value there with me beloved Knights. They're outsiders. They're $2.75. I think that's decent value, just head-to-head bet.
Hey, listen, it's going to be, we're only 2 rounds to go, mate, and then we're going to kick into a final series, which I reckon is going to be really, really close. So I reckon there's a few teams that on their day, if they come out and perform and play, it's going to be a really close final series. So I'm looking forward to it, mate. Get involved, like, subscribe, share this little chat that we have, mate, that don't argue. Download the app, the Palmerbet app, mate. It is really, really simple. And you can even find bets like Gids has found, which is unbelievable, mate. You are spending a bit of time with that.
Yeah, the market round odds, mate, that little tab. But mate, interesting last couple of rounds. Obviously that sort of 7th, 8th, 9th spot to get into the semi-finals, and also unfortunately for the bottom few teams, the Knights, if they can get a win this week, they can stay away from the wooden spoon. And it will be battled out between the Titans and the West Tigers. So, again, no one wants to pick up that wooden spoon coming last spot. So, if the Tigers get up, that will make it interesting. If the Titans or the Knights get up, it makes it pretty interesting as well. But it'll all come down to the last round to make it into the semis, and also to pick up the dreaded wooden spoon.
And that little bit of value too that we touched on earlier, to miss the top 8, Broncos at $5.85. You've done the math, and you think it's certainly possible. So have a little something on that too if you're playing at home, but do it in a responsible manner.
Absolutely, for sure, mate. Good luck to everyone this weekend with your betting, and
great stuff.
All the best.
On your kids.
Thanks,
great
mate.
to talk to you as always, mate. You have a great week, and 2 rounds to go on the NRL. Sensational.
All the best, everyone.